Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. Heck of a way to end the year. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every decision I make by. Now, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into things, I do want to tip my hat to Storm. He is our primary moderator in the background, and he tends to keep all the technology running and make sure that problem children are not problem children for very long. Okay. I also want to tip my hat to LA Moon. She is our primary moderator in the chat room. And she helps keep the conversation going, as well as doing that very important thing from my standpoint. She's the one that keeps an eye open on my health to make certain if I have a problem, that if there's a problem going down, that she catches it before I end up with a massive problem. Because I'll tell you, dying in front of doctors kind of screws them up. In front of people on air, I can see this being a bit detrimental. Now, today we are looking at, this is actually our last show of the year. Okay, so before we get into too much more here, we will start right back at the top. We have Mike Jones. You are in with the gold. How you doing, Mike? Glad you could join us. And yes, it is another year down the road. Surprisingly enough, I'm still here. I'll tell you, this past year has been, shall we say, trying. Okay. Now, then we have in with the silver, we have Eternity Eternal. How you doing, Eternity? Glad you could join us. You know, things are moving along here. I'm hoping things are going well for you and yours. And coming in with the bronze, we have Operation Shutdown. Oh, this is a great news operation. You know, and this year, of course, 2026 is going to be an incredible year if I have my way. And considering I'm pushy, at least for me I am. We also have, by the way, Sam Gaffonian Rockstar. He is another one of our moderators. Glad you could join us there, Sam. Hopefully things are going well. And I'll tell you, especially to all of the moderators, thank you so much for all of your support over the past year. The support of the listeners is invaluable. Okay, but I'll tell you, it's the moderators that have kept my stress level down to a minimum, as far as it could be. But I'll tell you, without you listeners, I would not be here. I wouldn't be doing this show at all. You know, there were many times, as you well know, that I was ready to pack it in and say, scrap it, I'm just going to shut everything down and hide from everybody. I did have to put a couple of things down. You know, I did have to put a couple of things on hold, not the least of which was the magazine I was putting out, which is Positive Perspectives. It is going back into production. Still debating whether I'm going to do it. I'm pretty certain I'm going to do it monthly, but I'm going to get ahead of it while I've got the 3 weeks here. 2 weeks. Because it'll come out right before the end of December. Okay. So I will be going through, and oddly enough, and I'm going to put this in Christmas terms, I'm going to check my list. You know, I'm going to check my list. I'm going to check it twice, to be honest, and make sure I catch everybody that I've got on the list. And yes, nice part about it. Whoop. I forgot about that. Gotta be this one. Yep. This here, and we swap back to this stream. This here is my file for the people that are getting Positive Perspectives. Okay, this is what I call my one box. word of mouth. Okay. And as you can see, there is no way on a computer you're going to hack this. Okay. So we are going to be dealing with that. Yeah, there we go. Now, with that in mind, okay. Now, today we are looking at self-help. Believe in yourself. Well, I will tell you this. Okay. It is difficult to believe in yourself when you run into a lot of problems, but sometimes, and this works like a charm, sometimes you have to take the faith of another for a short time until you can build faith in yourself. If it weren't for you guys turning around and reaching out and saying, hey, you're helping, okay, there is no way I'd have made it to 700 subscribers. Now, 700 is a nice round number, but frankly, I'm looking for more next year because it's time we really start changing things. Now, here's a couple of things where it comes to believing yourself. And what we're talking about today, literally, if you're looking for the hard copy, well, I keep doing that, don't I? I got two screens here. I've actually got the book in print. In PDF, if you go to the site, buymeacoffee.com/innervoiceJ. You'll find every book I've written in both hard copy and PDF form. Now, the difference between the two is simple. In the hard copy, I will sign them, okay? In the PDF, for some weird reason, I don't do a lot of signing. But if you go through it now, some of you have already got this book. But one of the first, it's broken into 4 very simple stages. Okay. And what I ended up doing when I started looking through it was going, okay, how do we deal with this? Well, the first things first, and you're going to love this one. I'm lazy. Okay. The first thing you do is when you get up in the morning, put a smile on your face. Sometimes that's really, really difficult. And due to the fact that I've been fighting depression most of my life, in spite of telling people, believe in yourself, positive perspectives, positive perceptions, in spite of avoiding the news like the plague, I've still had to deal with depression. Now, there's a couple of things you can do there, but to start with, the first thing you do is put a smile on your face. You may not feel like smiling. Smile anyway. And then we get the argument, but it feels fake. Who cares? The act of smiling, number one, and I forget the exact numbers, but from my understanding, smiling takes it's somewhere between 4 and 7 muscles to smile. It takes something close to 49 to frown. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm lazy. So smile, it's easier. Now, of course, the reality is if you don't smile or frown, well, you don't use any of the muscles. Okay. Actually, that's not quite true. Because if you're not using any muscles, the odds are you're suffering from Bell's palsy. One of the biggest things that you do, giving yourself that smile, first of all, helps release the positive endorphins to help put you in a better mood. The other thing, if you're having trouble smiling, find the fastest dance-paced music you can, crank it as high as socially acceptable, and let it run in the background. This will, by its very nature, bring your mood up. Okay? But the neat trick with believing in yourself is it sometimes takes a little bit of work to piece it together. So I'm just scanning through this because it's easier that way. And since my brain goes on hold half the day. Okay. The biggest issue of all, okay, is when you take a look at it, the thing you've got to realize is it's time to take a look at you. Now, there is no doubt you'll have all kinds of things you can spot that you are not, that you can spot that you are not happy about with you. The catch or the kicker to it is find something you're content with. Okay. I like to tell myself I'm organized. Apparently I like to lie to myself on occasion. But one of the things I found with gaining trust in yourself, with believing in yourself, is literally start getting things done. Okay. As you get things done and you start seeing the pattern and seeing them come together, you'll find out that you all of a sudden have skills that you may have forgotten you had. Okay. One of the things that I'm doing for 2026, I'm rebuilding my file system. Okay. Both my hard copy, which is right beside me here, okay, and my soft copy on the computer. What do we got here? Oh, we have here LA was just mentioning she's been struggling with a cold, right? And Samuel comes up with orange juice or chilies, spicy meals, right? Capsin, and a hot water bottle. Yo, when I first started reading that, Samuel, okay, when I read the orange juice, my first thought, of course, understand I am a former alcoholic. So the moment I read orange juice, I went, and vodka. Not a good idea. Okay, not a good idea at all. One of the things with believing in yourself is lay out a plan for yourself, as in, like I did today, get my office desk cleared. So I cleared my office desk off completely, got it straightened out, and now I can look at my office and go, this is what I'm dealing with. Okay, once you get it straightened out and you keep it that way, if you stay on top of it, and this is where staying focused on your own goals comes in real handy. Okay, pick a direction you desire to go. Samuel, I used to when I drank rum and coke, I used to mix it in favor. I used to mix it 80-20 in favor of the rum. Also not a good idea. These are things that when you look back over your life, understand you cannot do a thing to change what you've been through. Yeah. And like goes, honest problem is no good for me, but sounds fabulous. Oh yeah, absolutely. So take a look at your past, absolutely, because you got to know who you are. But much more importantly, look at where you're standing. Okay, ask yourself, am I content with my life? Okay, and one of the things I'm doing to get organized is in my email. Every file that I've got that I'm planning on keeping, I'm going to be starting a new file folder. I'll still call it the same, but then I'm going to call it 2026. And that way I'll know exactly where everything is going. Okay. Then it's just a question of staying on top of it. Same as these file folders here in my filing cabinet. Now I realize you can't see my filing cabinet. Okay. I've got a 4-drawer cabinet here. But belief in yourself comes from repeatedly doing things that help you feel better about you. Now, I've been putting on this stream, and LA and Storm have been phenomenal in keeping things running for me. And the rest of you have made it pretty much a definitive, I'm going to be here until I drop dead. Now, I've already done that one, so let's stay put. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And I just want to make sure I did this right, but I do believe, let's see here. We had, go all the way to the top. We had Mike came in with the gold. We had Eternity in with the silver. And then Operation came in with the bronze. So I am correct here. Christine, you are in with honorable mention. How you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, this year, okay, one of the important things that we got to remember is we're going into 2026 on a clean slate. I'm writing off 2025. I'm going, okay, this is what I went. This is what I went through. And that's the end of it. Okay, 2026, I'm going to do everything I can to stay on top of things. And yes, this means unless I get a call from Dave from Spaced Out Radio, I'll be on Spaced Out Radio on January 2nd. January 3rd, I believe that is correct, I believe the 3rd. Well, it is the 3rd, it's Saturday. January 3rd, we end up back here. Okay. And with that in mind, we're going to come in hot. I don't know offhand. I don't think I know offhand. Nope. Don't know offhand, but I'll be posting that anyway. I've already started putting a list together of the new topics for the new year. But watch for it because we're coming in hot. And we are going to make changes, not just to the stream. Okay, the stream's pretty static. But I came to the conclusion, if I'm going to change my life for the better, then I'm going to have to do it for me. And thereby I'll keep you guys posted because the topics I'm going to be looking at, okay, are ways of getting us all back on track. Not relying on governments or corporations or religious leaders. We're going to become our own leaders. Okay, now, absolutely, they say not everybody can be a leader. Bad news. Everybody is a leader. Okay, every one of you out there is a leader. Okay, what most people don't realize is the little people looking at you being from the sidelines are the people you're guiding. Okay. Now, I saw a post on Facebook today that was priceless. Okay. And it was literally an issue of gang people that are driving. When you're making a turn, a right turn or a left turn, okay, turn your signal light on. Many of you, and unfortunately I see this all the time in town here, okay, many people, what they do is, I know where I'm going, I don't need to tell anybody. Unfortunately, the people that are on the road with you don't know where you're going. And much more importantly, in a lot of ways, the generation coming up behind you, the ones that you're supposed to be teaching how to drive, okay, aren't getting the message at all. Okay, we take a look at it and I go, okay, I'm living my life in 2026 for me. Now, this means because I like the door being open for me when I go into a restaurant or go into any building, I will hold the door open for other people. Okay, karmic law number 2. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay, belief in yourself is literally when you're learning to do something. And understand, if you've never done it, the odds are you're not going to be good at it. Okay, so when we take a look at things, we have to literally start going, what are we up to? Oh, and I go, Frank says my blinker lights are out of fluid. That's almost as bad as the other woman that I saw. She pulls up at a stop sign. She's sitting there, and the cop's watching. Cop comes over to her and knocks on the door and knocks on the window and goes, "What are you waiting for, ma'am?" She goes, "Oh, I'm just waiting for the stop sign to change color." And the cop goes, "Are you high, ma'am?" And she goes, "Oh, hi." Right, and the guy beside her says, "Oh, you're friendly, officer." Hate to tell you this, but there's a lot of reasons for not doing things. My whole reason for for bringing it up is simple. You may know exactly where you're heading. Okay. Unfortunately, unless somebody is a controlled telepath, they're not going to know where you're heading. And this can be a problem. If you know what you're up to, this is great. Okay. I brought things to people's mind, time and again, of what they're misinterpreting or what they seem to be misinterpreting. 2026, we're going to be aiming at some pretty primary issues. Okay. And those are simply, we are going to look at the alien side of things, get into it a little bit more in specific detail. I am committed to making crib notes for myself to ensure that I get things done. So on Friday and Saturday, aside from the first Friday of a month, we will be dealing with the alien side of things. Okay. On Sunday, we will be looking at spirituality across the board and figuring out how to integrate that into our day-to-day life. Then on Mondays, we will take a look. At finances. And this is the same. I'm going to walk through these because, ironically enough, Ellie goes, he won't let me drive either. Some nonsense about being able to see. Yeah, this is something I can understand that. I refuse for exactly the same reason. I refuse to let my wife drive. And no, I'm not a chauvinist, but my wife is blind. Although, in all fairness, watching the way people drive around here, I'm thinking she might do better. But something that we gotta realize is I'm going to walk you through financial tricks that I'm using, because I'll tell you, I've wasted enough time, albeit due to ignorance, due to laziness, due to a lot of things. I'm not going to point fingers at anybody but me. Okay? But we're going to take a look at the different techniques that I'm utilizing, that people come up with, to take a look at how to reclaim power over your finances, over my finances. This is going to be done on Mondays. Okay. Tuesdays, we're going to take a look at self-help. Okay. And those are the books, those are the techniques that I personally use to make certain I land on my feet. And again, it's going to be one step at a time. And I'll keep you posted as I go along. The other thing that I'm absolutely looking at is getting way more active on social media. Okay. Which is why I got to start poking around on things and make sure I get it sorted out. But I will tell you, because I'm going to get more active, I'm going to spend a lot more time in my emails responding to what people say. And yes, that neat little thing of a day in the office, I did that for a little while. It comes back on air in January. Okay. And a day in the office is simply me puttering around in the office, doing whatever I'm doing. I'll talk to whoever shows up. Okay. But I'll be working on stuff in the office. You get to figure out whether it's of any interest. But if I don't take control of my life, it won't change. Same problem you're going to have. You don't like the way your life is? Time to look in the mirror and start believing in your capabilities. Now, if you are not, I'm looking at things like I am currently, and I'm not. If I look at my cooking or my ability to cook, I'm not good at it. But when I compare myself to what they cook in the hospital, I'm almost a gourmet. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Doing a lot better than I was, that's for certain. Had more bad news, but I'm just not worrying about it. I'm just simply working with it and going, this is where I'm heading. The fact of the matter is, we can continue dwelling on the past. You can look at what you went through. Look at your childhood and go, oh, I had a miserable life, and this is all the reasons why I can't make my life better. Now, I will tell you, there's a poem out there, and I only ever did remember one sentence of it. Can't is a word that is foe to ambition. Okay, I will be revisiting language over the course of 2026, and these are all the words I work with are words that literally are self-debilitating in any language I've come across. Okay, any language. But as you start to correct, and I call it correcting, if you're thinking in a way that is not producing success, happiness, joy, freedom, this sort of thing, you're probably doing something off kilter. Yeah, Christine says, listen to the doctors, even if you perceive it as bad news. Things can always heal. Miracles happen. I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you, Chris. The reality of it for me is I've had to come to a number of conclusions. But like I tell people, if you're on medication, stay taking it. Absolutely, if you've got questions, talk to your doctor, talk to your pharmacist, get the information. Just don't go categorically, I feel better, I quit. The reason you're feeling better may well be the medication. Okay? And if there is a problem, talk to the doctor and you'll find a way around it. Okay? Now, I will tell you, I've looked into things. I'm looking right now into a way to correct neuropathy. Because the doctors, thus far, all the research and all the ones I've talked to, none of them know how to correct it. So I'm going to have to find a different way. Because in this case, the ones I've talked to haven't had an answer. One of the neat little things about it, when you take a look at what you are capable of, remember, everyone, if I can do something, you can do it. Okay? I may not be good at it. So I'm going to get started on things. Well, I already have gotten started on a number of things. Before I had my stroke, I used to write really well with my left hand. Right? Only problem with it, and I didn't find it a problem, was it came out mirror image. But after my stroke, my coordination collapsed. The important thing we have to look at is whatever it is you desire to change in your life, you're the one that has the capacity to change it. You may not know how. This is where talking to friends, strangers, myself, spiritual guides, clergy, whoever you decide to. Talk to anybody. If you don't have the answer, talk to as many people as you have to find ways to make a change. And the reality is this. The first way you try may not work. Okay? But I will tell you, keep at it. It takes an average of 21 days to form or break a habit. Now, for me, I've got a stubborn streak that is 1.5 miles wide. Okay? Now, one thing I will ask you guys for input from as we're going into 2020 and 2026. I was about to say as we're going into 2023, and I think we're a little late. But as we're going into 2026, okay, it is time. What I'm asking you guys for is what topics, what tools, what areas would you like to take a look at? I will find a way to fit it in. Okay, in all probability. Some things I will not touch. Okay, but the rules that I have to watch are the ones on YouTube. Okay, before anybody bothers asking, I have come to the conclusion. I told somebody this just 2 days ago. Had somebody call up about helping me get more visibility on the internet. I told them flat out, I'm not doing it. Okay, I'm working on the internet with Facebook and LinkedIn. Okay, but I'm going old school. Old school has produced results. if you go to the website buymeacoffee.com/innervoiceJ, you'll find every book I've written. All of them are in print in physical form and are in print in PDF. Okay, but I've made more money in the last year through Buy Me a Coffee than I have in the last 20 through all of the advertising companies combined. Okay, every one of them. You put them all together, I've made more money doing it myself. Thank you very much there, Operation. Well, on the plus side, I've got this neat little thing. Where are we? Right here. On the plus side, there's a couple of things you should know, because this is actually, that's going to help a lot from my end. Okay. This is Races of the Worlds. Involved here are 60 races. Okay. Now, that said, we've only got 52 weeks in a year. Okay. So I think what I'm looking at, and I will talk to my advisors here, I do actually have a panel of advisors. Okay. You guys know 2 of them. Technically, you know 3. But I do not have a board of directors. I will not have a board of directors unless I find something really incredibly different than what I know. Okay. But I do feel that what I'm looking at, and this is just an idea, I may take one of those days, either the Friday or the Saturday, and go, okay, here's the homeworld we're working on. Okay. And I will talk to my board of advisors to pick which one of those. And that will fill up the entire week and the entire year. And it'll fill it like that for the last night, for the one night. But I'm going to leave the other one open so that we can jump around a little and cover other topics. But I was thinking that as well. I am on track to have Races of the World completely expanded before the end of this year. Okay. And I will tell you, the Races of the World, the one that's available right now, has 60 races in and approximately 63 pages. The second edition is coming out with more information, more information, and more additives. We absolutely did. And here's the other neat thing there, Operation. And this is where that believe in yourself comes in. I'm sitting looking at this information. I've got a small series of booklets coming out, all of which are meet the whatever the race or whatever the species. Okay. Doing this kind of a stream on the one day of the week will enable me to fill them in, because I think faster when people are asking questions. I really do. This is why I offer people questions, why I offer people the opportunity to ask questions. I constantly am looking at myself going, I can't possibly, one person cannot possibly sit on this much information. But then I keep getting corroboration from people. I'm going like, maybe I can. It's time I stop questioning whether or not I've got the information. Because like I said, this has got to be family friendly. It's got to involve as many people as we can get away with. Okay. And this is why I say bring your friends, bring strangers, bring your enemies. Maybe, as it turned out in the past, a simple comment or a simple piece of information will turn a friend into a stranger into a friend, or an enemy into at least a neutral stranger. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm knocking the doors to bullies and people that are looking to create a problem. Okay, vulgarity, I'm not opening the door to. My moderators have very clear instruction. You come in with a name that is vulgar or can be easily misconstrued as well as vulgar. And rest assured, you're not going to be in the room for long. Keep this in mind. Okay, it's not that hard to pick a name that isn't complicated, that isn't derogatory. Okay, one of the other things I found when it comes to believing in me, okay, it's the same thing you're going to find, is when you're starting to build it. I will tell you, one of the best things that you can do. Do not worry about when you're getting up in the morning or when you're going to bed at night. Okay, if you end up sleeping or napping through the day, so be it. The key to getting your metabolic system on track, in a lot of cases, is literally to turn around and pick a time to get up. Okay, doesn't matter when you go to bed. Maybe you'll get up at 2 o'clock in the morning like I usually do. Be up and putter for a couple hours and then go back to bed. So be it. Okay. The reality is, by setting yourself on a schedule, when you get up in the morning, as soon as you wake up, if wake up, as soon as your eyes focus enough that you can get out of bed, do not lay down. Okay. You desire your life to change. This is how it starts. Okay. You literally go, I'm getting up as soon as my eyes focus. Get up, go to the washroom, do whatever you have to in there. Come back out, and then you get your pick. Make your bed or get dressed. Okay, doesn't matter if you're dressed when you're making your bed, but it might be an idea to get dressed before leaving your bedroom. Okay, depending on whether you live alone or only with your partner. But with this in mind, get up, get your bed made, get dressed. Okay, you're now ready for the day, and you've already overcome the two big problems in your day. You've overcome your own stubborn streak. Okay, and that's probably the biggest obstacle you'll ever face. Okay, but you get in the habit of doing that, and it'll become second nature. Probably 3 weeks down the road ish, but you'll get back into the habit of doing it. Then you can look back and go, oh, look, I'm now getting up and getting things done before I get my day off the ground. You ever wonder why so many successful people are on the golf course, okay, by noon? It's because the most successful people in the world are up and out of bed by between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning local time. Okay, now I'm literally looking at that, and that's something that's starting before the end of next year, or before the end of 2025. But by picking up, what do we got? The neat part about it is that once you get in the habit of doing this, your life will change. Okay, you don't have to believe me. If you haven't done this before, give it a shot. Do your own research. And this is something else I will be bringing online for Inner Voice. Is I will be bringing out. I literally will be looking into different types of merchandise with certain sayings on them that I work with. Okay. Growing up, I never saw the purpose in these t-shirts that said smile or whatever. I now know what the purpose was. And yes, we will be dealing with that. But believing in yourself boils down to picking a goal. Doesn't matter what it was. Maybe your goal is this simple. I've got a cup of coffee. I desire to drink my coffee. So my goal is take a drink. Shocking. Managed to accomplish it. And my coffee cup isn't empty. Blue Cruz, how you doing? Glad you could join us. This is why the list method works. I'm thinking, maybe I should come up with a catchy name for it. But the list method works. By putting it on a list and breaking each task down into 15-minute to half-hour tasks, you will find you get a lot more accomplished that you can track. See, every time I go into a restaurant, Christine, I ask them for an IV line. They haven't given me one yet. Although they do bring me a coffee pot. And even the manager knows that there's one table in the restaurant I frequent. They all know that's my table. Okay. They literally will look at me and they'll call across the room, Keith, grab your table. I'll be right over. I get odd looks from some of the other customers, but what the heck. But the more you do things that you recognize as being successful, and yes, somebody may have to point it out to you. Okay, if you're not used to seeing the good things you've accomplished, somebody else may have to point them out. And this is why when people come in into the chat room, they make a comment, I keep an eye on the comments. Some of you guys are making announcements that I did this today. I share that because while you're already sharing it, I'm figuring that's the best way to work with it. Yeah, Christine goes, I do switch to decaf later in the day, though, or I'm waking up every night, every few hours. Here's the problem. I wake up every few hours anyway, and I drink weaker coffee than most. Matter of fact, I drink weaker. See, my idea of decaf coffee is don't put the coffee in the water. Okay, but that's the way it works for me. Okay, and I will tell people, the reality of it is the more comfortable you are with you, the better off you are, and the more successful you're going to be. And the reality is, as you follow your own path, I do not claim to follow anybody's path. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you right off, I will do that too. But quite often, people will say, you should do this way. I look at them and go, why? Why should I do what you're telling me I should do, aside from the law, people? Where there is a law involved, it is rather critical. Okay? If you don't follow the law, way too many complications. And for me, I just don't like the vertical bar scene. Now, I'm not by any means, well, maybe I am. The one thing I will tell you from your standpoint is, let me ask you this. Look back over your childhood. Maybe there were things that you didn't accomplish when you were younger. Now, I can guarantee you will not accomplish them before an earlier age. Let's say, for instance, you take the route that one client I had took. When she talked to me originally, she was 52 years old. She had always desired to be a doctor. So I talked to her, worked with her. She went back to university. She became a doctor. She entered university at 53. I worked with her for 8 years. And by the time she hit 60, she grabbed, Carl Strainer, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Really happy to see you. Hopefully things are setting up nice for you for the end of the year here and for the start of next one. Now, this young lass, at 60 years old, she became an MD. Okay, 60 years old. She didn't make it by the time she was 20, but she racked it off her list. I strongly encourage you, stealing a line out of the 80s, build yourself a bucket list. This year, and I do mean 2025, get a list of 12 things together that you desire to accomplish before the end of 2026. Now, you know me and lists. This list, you'll notice, has 3 columns. That's because I'm a little different than most. Okay? And I've got 12 things in each column, all of which I desire to get finished off before the end of the year. Now, I'm not going to go through that list right now. I did a while back. Where are we here? Ouch. I do feel for you there, Blue. And this is why I say I'm glad you took it. I absolutely am. The fact of the matter is, the modern medicine that is out there, it does work. There are glitches in it, absolutely. But I encourage people strongly, stick with the doctors, talk to the herbalist, talk to the naturopath, talk to your neighbor. There is a combination of ways of doing things. Okay. And it's by linking them all together that you will find the answer to help your life turn for the better. Okay. Now, this neat little thing, I've got this list literally of 36 items because I put 12 in each category. One personal, one for business, one for just general. Okay. But I get those racked off, and I will come out at the end of the year going, hey, I made all these plans and I accomplished them. This is a way of giving yourself quantifiable evidence that you are accomplishing things. Thank you very much there, LA. The reality is, this year, I'm going to be putting crib notes together to make sure that I get things in order. Okay. And I'm going to ask you, since I got two of my board of advisors here in the room, I'm going to ask point blank, guys, what would you think of if every Friday we cover a new homeworld? Okay, this is just a question, and obviously I got to make my own mind up, but your input is greatly appreciated. Okay, but I'm thinking we cover a new homeworld. I've got 60 already here in the book. Whoop, book's not there, book's here. I've already got 60 here. That will fill the entire year. Okay. And I've still got more to go. But it will also help me put together the believe in your, or the meet your whatever species. Okay. And as they get racked off, they will come on air, online. Okay. Well, that's from one of the board of advisors. LA has said, yeah, run with it. Yeah, if it makes you feel any better, Christine, I never bothered. Oh, Storm, that is a fantastic title. That is an absolutely fantastic title. And Storm would be number 2 of my board of advisors. So, the other 2, I know one will look at me and go, well, I don't, go ahead because they're not on the net anyway. Okay. And as for the other one, I will talk to them. But you'll find it posted in Facebook, on that, and on LinkedIn, that what I've decided to do with it. The nice part about it, as a matter of fact, where is that pen? Takes way too long to think right now. But what I'm doing here is literally, I just wrote with my left hand because it's going to be a question of making certain that I practice every time I can. Practice does not make perfect, but practice does make better. Okay, so when we are talking about believing in yourself, just wrote it down, LA, but thank you for the reminder. Just literally wrote it down, and here's where it gets funny. I don't expect you to read this. Let me get that on the other screen so I line it right. I don't expect you to read that. Okay, that is left-hand writing, but you'll notice it comes up backwards. Okay, my practicing with my left hand will bring it back on track. So once I make a final decision, which will be likely in the next day, likely in the next day or two. But I've decided I have to change my life. Okay, it's just got to be that way. And the only way that happens is by getting off our tail feathers. Yeah, very definitely, Sam. Absolutely. New territory, always exciting. Hopefully in a good way. Yeah, he goes, we call it growth. At least we have a plan. And that is the whole thing. And guys, when you're looking at a plan, something you got to remember, plans can change. You can alter what you have to do. When you drive to the grocery store, my guess is you plan to go on a given path, but you may have to alter that plan. Okay. Now we're down there, so that's good. But maybe I'll see if I can. Well, no, I'll post that down the road. It's not open right now. But I am looking at changing my entire life. The organization, my hobby, the way I'm working with hobbies, even Christmas of 2026, I am starting to work on January 2nd. Okay. And the reason for that is simple. It won't save me any money. As a matter of fact, it'll probably cost me more. But it does kill the damage at the end of the day, at the end of the year. And I strongly encourage you to do the same thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Christmas is not about the gifts. Christmas is about helping people feel better. Now, I encourage you to do it all year round, but we got to pick one day of the year, and that's a great one to start with. I'll tell you, picking the day of celebration that it's already affecting the people around the world in a positive fashion. It seems to me, why build something new when that one's already in place and working fine? Yes, there are different things out there that work like a charm. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely there are. But the thing that works best when you're changing your world is to look in the mirror and go, I am not content with the way my world is. What are you not content with? I wasn't content with my office being a disaster. It got cleared today. Okay, now it just has to stay that way, and that simply means I will find this list somewhere. There are a couple of basic rules when you're changing your life. You can always change it. If you change it to something that isn't working, change it again. Okay. If you move something and you don't like where you moved it to, move it somewhere else. Because don't move it back because you didn't like it where it was moved to. Oh, there you go. Yeah. That's the nice thing. The nice thing there, Blue. I'm glad you decided to get the second shot because the reality is this. It may not cure the problem, but at least it can help with the symptoms. Okay. Now, from my end, I encourage you to follow the path that works for you. And for me, it's a combination of methods. So I will go and do what I have to. But we are getting down to the 5-minute mark here. And with that in mind, I definitely want to say thank you so much, people, for your encouragement, for your support, and really for pushing me to keep at this stream. Okay, rest assured, 2026 for me is going to be a much better year. And I'm hoping to guide you guys by example into a much better year on your part. Okay, I really want to thank you for your encouragement, for being with me, and for those of you that were, for being with my wife while I was going through that neat little thing dying. Okay, I'm here. I'm going to be here for a while. Okay, and like I do agree wholeheartedly with LA. LA goes, we want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, along with Happy Holidays, whatever whatever you call it. Okay. This is to a much brighter tomorrow, as bright as our combined imaginations can make it. Okay. Yeah. Samo goes, stop thinking too much. Stop stressing. And then, that's for Blue Cruise, but it applies to everybody in all fairness. One of the biggest things I gotta say, because we're winding it down here, but I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate your support, and I do look forward to seeing you in the new year. Until that time, have yourselves a Merry Christmas, a real Happy New Year, and until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.